Sometimes, betrayal doesn't come from strangers. It comes from the person you least expect. In today's story, we enter the life of a powerful billionaire, his devoted wife, and the mistress whose jealousy pushed her to do the unthinkable. Stay with us until the end, because this story shows how love, lies, and tragedy can change everything in a single moment. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss powerful stories like this one. David Cole was a man who seemed to have it all. At 42, he was the head of a billion-dollar real estate empire that stretched across major cities. His face often appeared in business magazines under titles like the man who redefined luxury living. But if you asked him what his greatest achievement was, he wouldn't mention his skyscrapers or his wealth. He would smile and say, "Elena, and the little one on the way." Elena Cole, his 28-year-old wife, was the light of his life. She wasn't a woman chasing luxury. In fact, she was a former schoolteacher, the kind of person who laughed with children and planted flowers in the garden with her bare hands. When David first met her at a charity fundraiser, she was reading to orphans while everyone else mingled with champagne glasses. That sincerity had drawn him in, and years later, their marriage became the envy of many. Now, Elena was 6 months pregnant. She moved through their mansion with a glow that no diamond could match, often pressing a hand against her belly as if to whisper to the little life growing inside her. David often sat beside her in the evenings, rubbing her swollen feet as he said softly, "You've given me everything, Elena. You've given me a future." And Elena would laugh, brushing his hair back. "No, David, we gave ourselves this future." From the outside, their world looked unshakable. But behind the marble walls and glass ceilings of their life, a storm had already begun. Her name was Cassandra Blake. Tall, beautiful, sharp green eyes that could pierce through anyone. She had once been David's personal assistant, and for a short while, his secret lover. But that ended the moment David realized what he stood to lose. He loved Elena too deeply to allow Cassandra's seduction to ruin it. He cut ties with Cassandra, offering her a generous severance package, thinking money would be enough to end things cleanly. It wasn't. Cassandra's love wasn't love at all. It was possession. To her, David wasn't just a man. He was a prize. And Elena was the obstacle that had to be removed. Each time she saw the couple in the tabloids, David holding Elena's hand, or the headline "Billionaire Cole expecting first child," a rage twisted inside her. "She doesn't deserve him," Cassandra muttered to herself one evening, pouring a glass of wine in her luxury apartment. "She doesn't even know how to be his equal. That child should have been mine." Her obsession began to shape into a plan. Cassandra knew she couldn't just storm into David's life. That would expose her desperation. Instead, she waited, patient, calculating. When she heard Elena was pregnant, she reached out with a message that seemed harmless. Cassandra's text. "Congratulations on the baby, Elena. I know things were complicated before, but I'd love to make peace. If you ever need help, please let me know." Elena, kind-hearted as always, responded warmly. She believed in forgiveness. She believed in second chances. And she let Cassandra back in, if only at arm's length. Soon, Cassandra began visiting. She offered to help with groceries, to bring homemade teas said to be good for pregnancy, and to assist when Elena felt tired. David was skeptical. He warned Elena one evening, his hand tightening around hers. "I don't trust her. She wants something." But Elena only smiled. "David, not everyone is out to hurt us. Maybe she just wants to move on." If only Elena knew the truth. Because in the very tea Cassandra brewed, In the very food she so kindly prepared, she hid small amounts of a sedative, nothing obvious, but enough to wear down Elena's body little by little. The first time Elena felt dizzy, she thought it was normal pregnancy fatigue. When she fainted in the garden weeks later, she brushed it off as dehydration. But the fainting grew worse. Her lips turned pale, her steps unsteady. And every time David rushed her to doctors, the tests came back clean. It was a mystery. But for Cassandra, it was the beginning of triumph. The night of David's annual charity gala arrived. Hundreds of guests filled the ballroom, the chandeliers sparkling above as music floated through the air. Elena, radiant in a flowing silver gown, walked gracefully beside her husband despite her weakness. David kept glancing at her, concerned. "Are you sure you're up for this?" he whispered. She smiled, holding his hand. "I'll be fine. Tonight is important for you." But midway through David's speech, as cameras flashed and applause filled the hall, Elena suddenly clutched her chest. "David," she gasped. Her knees buckled. The microphone clattered to the floor. Gasps echoed as David rushed forward, catching her before she collapsed completely. "Elena, stay with me." The room erupted into chaos. Guests screamed for an ambulance, staff hurried to help, and flashes from reporters' cameras captured the horrifying moment. And at the edge of the crowd, Cassandra stood with a glass of champagne, her lips curling into the faintest smirk. At the hospital, David's panic was uncontrollable. He paced the hallway, gripping his hair. "What's happening to her? She was fine this morning. Someone tell me what's wrong." Doctors worked frantically, but the tests remained puzzling. Her blood pressure was erratic, her organs weakening for no clear reason. And Cassandra was always there, pretending to comfort, placing a hand on David's shoulder. "Maybe she's just too fragile, David. Not every woman is strong enough for this kind of life." Her words dripped with venom hidden under sympathy. But David, blinded by fear, didn't catch it. Not yet. It was a nurse, a young woman named Grace, who noticed the irregularities. She saw the way Elena's symptoms mirrored those of slow poisoning. Against protocol, she ran a toxicology screen. The results stunned her. Elena's blood contained traces of strong sedatives. Not something prescribed. Not something accidental. Grace rushed to David with the report. His hands trembled as he read it. His face drained of all color. "This means someone's been drugging her," he whispered. Grace nodded grimly. "Yes, sir. Consistently. 4 months." David's mind exploded with realization. Who had been closest to Elena in those months? Who had been preparing her teas, her meals, visiting her so often? Only one name surfaced. Cassandra. That night, he stormed into Cassandra's apartment, slamming the door open. David, furious, "What did you do to her?" Cassandra, calm, almost mocking, "Finally figured it out, did you?" David, "You poisoned her. She's carrying my child. She's fighting for her life because of you." Cassandra, smirking, she was weak. "You deserve better. You deserve me." David's rage shook the room. "You destroyed everything. I will never forgive you. Never." But before justice could fully unfold, the worst happened. Back at the hospital, Elena went into sudden, premature labor. Doctors rushed her into the operating room. David barely made it in time to hold her hand. Elena's weak voice whispered, "David, promise me, you'll love her, for both of us." Tears streamed down his face. "No, Elena. Stay with me. Please. I can't do this without you." But her grip loosened. Machines beeped frantically. Doctors shouted orders. Minutes later, a baby's cry filled the room. But Elena's heartbeat flatlined. David fell to his knees, clutching his newborn daughter as his wife. The love of his life was declared gone. The news exploded across media outlets. Billionaire's wife dies in tragic childbirth. But whispers of the truth leaked too. Jealous mistress arrested for poisoning. Cassandra was taken away in handcuffs, her face splashed across television screens as the poisonous mistress. But for David, none of it mattered. Justice couldn't bring Elena back. He sat in the nursery at night, rocking his daughter to sleep, tears silently falling. The empire he built, the money he had, all of it meant nothing without Elena's laughter in the halls. His daughter's small fingers curled around his thumb. In her face, he saw Elena. In her smile, he saw hope. And he whispered, broken yet resolute, "I'll raise you with her love. I'll make sure you know the woman who gave everything for you." Years passed. David raised his daughter, naming her Grace Elena Cole, after the nurse who saved her life and the mother who gave hers. Every night, he told her stories of Elena, how she laughed, how she loved, how she dreamed. "Your mother was the bravest person I've ever known," he would whisper, tucking her into bed. Though Cassandra sat in prison, bitter and forgotten, Elena's memory lived on in her child. David carried his pain like a scar, but he also carried a vow that no betrayal, no jealousy, no tragedy would erase Elena's legacy of love. Sometimes, the deadliest enemies are the